you guys doing?
Doing well.
Know we're a little early. We ready to roll here? We good to go? All right, great. Hope you guys enjoyed the bye week. Hope you guys got your rest. I know it was a very productive week for us. We got to evaluate a lot of different things from schematics, personnel, and really overall just got some quality work in throughout the course of the week. The players did an unbelievable job getting dialed in on the things that the coaches were able to evaluate and pinpointed areas where we can grow going forward, both the things that we've done well that we can continue to grow on and the things that we haven't done well. And being where we're at in the middle of the year coming off the bye week, it was a good time to really sit down and take a deep dive into what we're capable of doing and how we're going to get it done. Again, really excited about the things the players did, the energy they brought last week, and honestly too, it was fun to get to just spend time on ourselves and not worry about an opponent. Last week it was all about going 1-0 and being 1-0 at the end of the week, and that competition was all within. And so proud of the guys, the work they put in, and then obviously a couple days they got off there to rest and relax, and now we got back at it on Sunday. We were able to get back in and get in the meeting rooms and get going and get a good practice in, a good lift, and we'll be back out on the field tomorrow. All right, let's take some questions.
As you look back on the first half of this season, where have you guys grown the most through 6 games?
Well, I think, in all 3 phases, there are things that we've done well, and especially here in the last couple weeks. And it's been awesome to see how the whole team has come together, and the energy and the faith and the confidence and the enthusiasm that comes with that. We've improved our run game tremendously. We're excited about what we're doing there, which, obviously at practice too, that makes it very difficult on the defense. In this last week, in the bye week, there was some good iron sharpening iron, in the course of the run game and what comes off of the run game and the play actions and, the pressures and things like that the defense was showing the offense. So defensively, we obviously have a huge challenge this week within the run game. We've played pretty solid throughout the course of the year against the run, but this will be easily our biggest challenge facing the number 1 rush offense in the nation.
Where did you specifically try to get better X's and O's wise? You said you spent a lot of time on a lot of different things, but what did you focus on in terms of the X's and O's of getting better?
So, the schemes are the schemes, right? It's how those schemes are executed in terms of whether it's in the run game on both sides of the ball and the basic fundamentals of how are we going to come off the ball and be more explosive, more violent coming off the ball, building that confidence. And that starts too, Mike, with identifying certain things in the pre-snap so that guys can get in a stance and play with confidence will be a huge part this week on both sides of the ball. And as we find the things and put our players in position to do the things that they're good at, it's repping those things and finding the complements in the bye week that go along with those things that our guys can do.
What about Taylor and Dirk? How much time did they spend together, and how much time did they spend together individually and separately as opposed to the whole offensive unit?
Well, they went through it last week. Taylor and Coach, they spent a lot of time. They looked at a lot of football together, and more specific, the plays that Taylor's played thus far this season, his 2 starts and what we can do to build off that going forward, the things that he does well in the run game, and the improvements in the run game that we can continue to make with his decision-making and the things he's doing. But the big part, obviously, was the pass game too, and how do we continue to build that confidence? What are the things that he is confident in that he can do well consistently, and then being able to put a plan together, show that plan in the meeting rooms, and take it to the field. In a bye week like this, you get a lot of individual time. But it's not just the quarterbacks. It's the timing with the wide receivers and the various pass concepts and things like that you get extra time at. You're able to focus on yourself. You're not so much concerned about different defensive structures, coverages, things like that. You're able to really focus on that rhythm. And we spent some time this past week working on those things.
How much does it help Green to have played 2 games and then get a bye week as opposed to, say, the change and come in the week of the bye week, where you actually have a body of tape to look at from 2 games?
Yeah, there's plenty of film to look at and look at the things that, again, it is all about the personnel. It always is in football. And it's, as coaches, that's our responsibility to identify the things that our guys are confident in, and not only just individuals, but collectively as a team, whether that's on defense, special teams, and putting the personnel in the best position. What are the things that we can do now after having those 2 games and seeing what it looks like, what our offense looks like with Talon back there. And you know what, even with Sam, and Sam did a good job in this bye week as well. So it was a great opportunity for both of them, for Coach to work with them. The offense starts with that. And then where do we go from there? How do we continue to build? And that was fun. It was, again, the excitement of what we can do. We got a lot of room we can continue to grow, and we've had pretty 2 good games, back to back here on offense, but there's plenty of room for growth.
You mentioned the change in the run game and just how much you guys have improved in that area. Was that a schematical shift, or just kind of a circumstance of a new quarterback and a new OC?
The running game in itself hasn't changed entirely. As we said already, there's just things that we are emphasizing more that we've always had in the run game, and we're able to. What has changed too is the simplicity of what we're doing and really identifying what are the things that we can do well that we've always had, but just really sticking to those things again, so the players have the confidence in the pre-snap to identify fronts, identify structures of the defense. And we've seen, the momentum the offensive line has created. Those guys, they've done a really nice job coming off the ball and playing physical. And again, we're going to play a defense that has done a really good job against the run. They see a tremendous run game every day at practice. So we're obviously going to need to build off of that momentum we had, because each week's a new week. And that's the thing. Just like last week, we didn't have an opponent. The competition was ourselves and having fun competing to get better. That's what it was. Now it's time to shift gears, because every single week is a new week. I think we've seen that in college football, and it requires you to prepare and train to be your best.
Did you have an opportunity to do more self-scout typically during a bye week? And if so, what were some big takeaways you had there, Coach?
Yeah, that's the first half of the bye week. When as a staff, we spend a tremendous amount of time self-scouting. And the number one thing is that it always comes down to the basic fundamentals of the game. At the end of the day, this is tackle football. You got to be able to tackle well. We spent a lot of time last week working on tackling. We spent a lot of time on, we spent a lot of time defensively too, looking at certain formations and how we're handling certain formations, from leveraging and being able to adjust to certain motions, all those things that have come up in the first 6 games. So defensively, it really comes down to being able to leverage formations, have great communication, adjust on the fly, and then play with great fundamentals. And like I said, it is tackle football. So, there was a day there where we did put our pads on in the bye week, and we really worked on tackling, and the guys did a good job with that. And then, as we've already talked about offensively, there are definitely areas where we can continue to grow off the momentum we've built. We're obviously not going to give all that stuff away, but, it's all the things that we've already talked about that we've known. We just get time to sit down and focus on ourselves in the bye week. We're not so concerned about a defensive structure from our offensive standpoint that we're going to face at the end of the week. So you're really able to dive into the things that we want to focus on getting better, not necessarily the things that are going to work for us at the end of the week on game day.
And I'm sure we've asked you this before, but when you were growing up and playing football, why did you choose defense? And as you coach, have a defensive background. Where does the challenge of stopping the Air Force triple option and it being unique fall into?
Well, Jay, I almost played running back in college too, so it was very close. I'm not going to talk about the other schools I could have went to and played running back, but it just kind of worked out that way, Yeah, there are a lot of challenges. There's a reason why they're the number 1 rush offense in the nation. And it's not just because of their scheme, it's their mentality. It's how they come off the ball. It's how the O-line plays. It's how physical the tight ends are. And then, you know what? I know they don't throw the ball a whole lot, but they got some explosive pass plays as well. And that creates, it creates the amount of preparation that goes into this. It's not just this week. It's making sure throughout the course of the year that our guys are comfortable and confident with how we leverage these certain formations, which Air Force has a lot more formations than they typically would. They've done a lot more with that this year, but at the end of the day, it comes down to great discipline with our getting in a great stance, playing with great eye control, being on the same page. And then, again, I go back to it. It's the basic fundamentals of football. You got to be able to strike, get off blocks, and make tackles. There's going to be a lot of one-on-one tackles, and our tackling has got to be at a premium.
You never wish you went the running back route.
Sometimes I think about it.
Were you guys doing anything differently this week in practice to prepare for that offense? Like maybe throw a running back in there, a quarterback in the scout team?
Yeah, there's definitely every week there's things that we got to do to create our best offensive scout looks, to give our players the best preparation. So, there are certain things we'll do this week. The nature of this offense requires us to do that. I mean, again, this is not just this week. We've done it throughout the course of the year. So even the scout teams are, a little rehearsed on what it looks like and what's going to be asked of them.
I know every week's different, but it seems like 5 years ago, when we were talking about this program, you go into a bye week and you have Air Force. You spend a lot of time working on Air Force because this program seemed kind of intimidated by what they did offensively. It seems like this program now, and you obviously were a part of it then and are a part of it now, has a grasp on what Air Force does offensively, at least better. Would you say that there's some truth to that?
We spent a lot of time on it, Mike. We put a lot of time into this, and we did work on it during the bye week. We did. We got some bonus reps on it. We need that. I mean, they're really good at what they do. So
It seemed like when you were here as a DC, this program was a little bit intimidated by them. It doesn't seem like that you're intimidated by them anymore because you have a grasp on what they do.
We spend time in spring ball, in fall camp. We spend time in the summer. I mean, we put a lot of time into it. So the respect to them is there. Again, what we've done traditionally here in the past in preparation for Air Force and the attack they bring, I don't think there's a person in this a team in this conference that defensively doesn't have to spend time throughout the different camps on these particular schemes, or it's just, I mean, to be honest with you, that's not fair to the players because it's pretty hard.
As a linebacker going against that triple option, I mean, what are the keys to success?
Well, for linebackers, it's number one, getting lined up in the pre-snap and having an understanding of the formations and the things that you're going to get from the different formations, and then it just comes down to playing with great eye control. You got to trust your eyes when you're in that box, and there's dives in front of you, there's motions behind, there's triple option looks, then the pass game that you got to fit as well. As coaches, that's on us to be able to create film studies. The guys can rep it in the film room. They can take it from the film room and build that confidence on the field so that they trust their eyes. They know where their eyes need to be. They trust their eyes, and then they can play fast, use all their ability, and again, then it comes down to the basic fundamentals and doing it with a certain mentality.
After the last game, you said that Zeke pick, I think you said you're going to put it on the wall or something like that. If you don't mind just take us through that play, why was that so impressive on his part? And is it teach tape somewhere? Did you guys put it on the wall or whatever you said?
So the thing that's impressive about that is that that particular pass concept, fell within that opponent's, it was their number one pass concept. I was going to say it's in the top 5. There were 5 things that we designated that we needed to stop from that passing game from that previous opponent, and that was the number one thing. So, again, when you put enough time into something and you study it, you prepare it, you train on it, it's just awesome to see it come together in a game where a guy does his job and makes a play like that. And it was a pretty sweet catch, too. Zeke played a little running back in high school, too.
We've seen.
We were talking to him about his running back skills, though, once he got the ball in his hands. We keep working on that. It's been a little while since he had it in his hands.
Everybody asks questions about Air Force's offense, and obviously it's unique for this league. When you look at their defensive numbers, I mean, their scoring is lower than ours, and then their yardage is also below 300. So what makes their defense tough?
Their defensive front is talented now. They got some D linemen. Their defensive front is as talented as we'll see this year. They're aggressive at the line of scrimmage. The things that we're talking about, they do as well. They play with great fundamentals. and they come off the ball. The linebackers are very disciplined. They fit the run game. They fit the pass game. And then obviously it comes together with the secondary and their ability to be very disciplined within the pre-snap and their eye control and coverage. And it's shown. I mean, their defensive stats have been very productive this year. And it is, again, we've had a productive rush game in the last couple weeks on our offense side of the ball, and it will be a challenge with this defense this week.
Brad Roberts has been one of the most productive running backs in the country. Is that more a credit to their scheme, or is he just that talented?
Both. I mean, he gets obviously he's a feature part of their offense. He gets he gets a lot of the inside run plays, and he runs physical. I mean, it's not like he's just got wide open lanes all the time. I mean, for both all of their ball carriers. I mean, whether there's lanes or not, they're very good at creating and breaking tackles. And again, that's to what we're speaking on in terms of the mentality they play with. It's not just their O-line. It's not just how their tight ends block. Their wide receivers are physical on the perimeter. And again, it is going to be a physical game, a very physical game by the nature of how these ball carriers run the ball.
We've seen, obviously what Talon can do on the field and heard about him as a person or something, but haven't talked to him yet. I mean, is there a reason that he hasn't been made available to the media?
No, not at all. He's just focused on his job and getting better. I mean, he's doing a good job in school. It's awesome to see him organize his life and keep it that way. And the simple fact is it's for us to make sure that we keep him in a space where he can stay organized and growing forward. I'm sure he'd jump up here and be fine with a big smile on his face.
How do you handle scout team quarterback when you play Air Force? Do you have one of your quarterbacks run the reps? You grab a defensive back somewhere? Who's playing scout team quarterback this week?
So Mad Dog will get a lot of those reps because he can run around. Mad Dog's got a little bit of speed to him, but we will mix in some other guys too for the speed. That's one of the hardest things about triple option. We can do our very best this week in scout team personnel-wise to put the right guys in there and all those things, but the speed of the game on game day is going to be a little bit different, and we always know that. It takes a few plays to get used to that. That game speed on that day with this scheme is a little bit different.
I know we've asked you about how Ashton can spell George, but I was talking, with Shane Williams-Rhodes last week, and he's saying that, J.J. in 2014, like after games, he couldn't go out and enjoy victories because he was so beat up from the game, and he had almost 400 touches that year. To have the confidence in Ashton, how much does that help George? And then are you guys able to continue to give Ashton a little bit more just because he's clearly proven he can handle it?
I mean, that's playing college running back, or the NFL for that matter as well. That's why being able to have 2 or 3 guys that you can give the ball to, when you want to run the ball successfully, that's a requirement because it's a physical game. And we've got to continue to, as we've spoken about all the way from fall camp, just continue to develop that room. KB's done a really good job. I mean, it's what KB's done in his career with running backs. I mean, it speaks for itself. And what he's doing here with this group, not only how he's continued to develop George and help George go to another level, we've seen what he's been able to do with the other running backs, in that room, not just Ashton. But, yeah, that is always the plan.
Maybe it's a better question for KB, but is there a balance to see out there that people utilize that you guys do maybe try to admire? Like, you look at the Browns or whatever, and with Chubb and Hunt, they seem to have a nice little balance when they're going to send guys in and out. Is there anything you guys look at like that, or just feel it out yourselves, I guess?
It's never fill it out yourselves. I mean, you just said it. It's very physically demanding, so when they get tired, we get them rest. And when they're not tired, we let them roll. Now, are there specific plays or calls designed for one or another? Yeah, there are. There are specific plays, but by the nature of the offense, we're confident in both of those guys spelling each other, taking care of what we need to offensively, and obviously taking care of them.
Looking at Riley Smith last game, a lot of his involvement in the pass game is kind of the short pass game, but he got sprung by the defense a couple of times.
Yeah.
How encouraging was that to see for him?
Yeah, it was awesome. And it's the reward with what comes with what he's been doing, blocking, and and being able to slide him out of there a few times and get behind the defense, that's something we want to continue to build on, not just with him, but with other pass catchers within the offense. And again, the better job you do in the run game, it opens up for more of what the defense is going to give you.
Last game was a 5 o'clock kickoff. This game's a 5 o'clock kickoff. They just announced that next game's a 5 o'clock kickoff. How much of those 5 o'clock kickoffs helped you guys versus, you know, kicking these off at 8, 8:15, 8:30, especially the road games where you're probably not getting back till 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of college football. We lived in that world a little bit more in the past with the late starts. That is an impact. I mean, it's an impact on the student athletes. That next week flips around, comes pretty quick when you get home at 3, 4 in the morning, and it's time to get going on a Sunday, mid-afternoon. It does. And not only that, but the rest of the staff. But again, that's part of college football. So, 5 o'clock kickoffs aren't all that bad now.
What do you think of the trading cards? We haven't talked to you since that went.
Oh, yeah, the trading cards. What do you guys think about the trading cards? That's the question.
I like it. I think it's a great idea.
They're a hot commodity, huh?
Yeah, I think they're pitching.
They sold out. Hey, I would say that too if I could right now on these cameras. But I mean, it's just there's things like that going on. You're going to see more things come out. Again, it's cool for our players. It's awesome that these trading cards come out, and to see the response of the public in Bronco Nation. I mean, shoot, those things went quick, and there will be another round coming. So get ready. And again, there will be more things to come for our players that way. That's fun stuff. That's cool stuff. The hard work that goes in. Again, we just see the football stuff, but how these young men are growing, the things they're doing in the classroom, it's pretty fun for them to be able to have a reward like that. And, it's something that, we appreciate, Mr. John Jackson being all in on that and going in. We spoke to him about a few months back, and boom, it got rolling, and we got those knocked out. And we're just very fortunate to be able to have partners like that within our community, boosters that support us that way. And there are other things in motion that are behind the scenes right now that you guys will get to see too, that will help the players, and pretty cool things going on.
I know you can't go too far into injuries or whatever. There's a couple guys on the depth chart that have been there all year and they haven't yet played. Is there a point in time in the season where you guys?
Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah.
Let me just say that on a few of them. We're getting really close, and we're excited, about that piece right there. And that's a huge part of the bye week too, is getting guys fresh. So we got some really good work in last week, but again, yesterday's practice was a little bit more, being that the guys had a few days off, and getting them back and getting them in rhythm, and it was good to see. The strength coaches did a really good job with the workouts that we had planned this past week, the extra lifts, the things like that, and that will pay off for us in the back half of the season here and going forward.
I mentioned you wanted to open the passing game up a little bit. There hasn't been a lot of separation in these first 6 games. What do you need to see out of that group of wide receivers over the next 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, and again, so those are some of the things that in the bye week we can work on. We can focus on those things with more individual, more timing with the quarterbacks. It comes all together. It's not just one group. It's all of us coming together and getting better within our individual roles, and that will lead to more efficiency and whether we're getting press coverage, off coverage, the different things that we got to do that we can do to create more separation. That's been a focus in the bye week too.
How much do the play callers play a role in that? In creating that separation and opening things up?
Say it again.
How much do the play callers play a role in creating that separation?
Well, I don't think he's running the routes, so.
Can you call? Do the play calls have an effect on that? I mean, whether
You
it's
can-
calling a slant or a 9 route for different players.
Yeah, I mean, there is certain things that, like we said a few weeks back, we've personneled a few things to put guys in the best position to do what they do, not just at quarterback, not just at running back, but wide receiver, tight end. But again, that's why the bye week was good, so that we can get in there and really focus on ourselves and doing those things at a more efficient level.
How would you grade the offensive line through the first half of the season? And is there a difference between the pass protection and the run blocking in terms of the production and the results you're seeing?
In the last couple of weeks, Mike, it's what we've believed in what we've seen, and I'm just proud of those guys. I'm really proud of the offensive line from the standpoint of who those guys are, number one, and it shows in how they've played recently. And I'll be honest with you, how they played in the bye week. How they played in the bye week against our defense, I'm really proud of those guys from the standpoint of how they've grown, and they don't want to stop. They want to keep growing. Again, we got a huge challenge this week with the defensive front that we're playing that will be one of the best ones we've seen all year. But from the run game standpoint, if I'm going off of what we're doing now and where we're growing, we've done a tremendous job in the last couple of weeks. And then we have improved protection-wise as well in the last couple of weeks. And there's no reason to stop. There's no reason to be satisfied. It's all gas, no brakes. We got to keep growing.
Andy, I know you guys talked about how you guys got better as a team maybe during the bye, but is there anything you tell your players, like, hey, you might have an afternoon off here, like, make sure you take advantage of it? I kind of say that, I know I saw last Saturday you had a bunch of guys out at the Optimus Field, giving back and talking with the kids and stuff like that. Is there anything that you try to emphasize away from football they need to do during the bye?
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, last week our guys were out in the community doing a bunch of things, community service-wise, visiting schools, the Boys and Girls Club, getting out and around. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we know how much support we get from Bronco Nation, but even more from our community right here. It's shown in our stadiums on game days, and last week was not an opportunity for us to give back and to get out and visit some different places throughout the community. And then we were able to get that stuff done, and then the guys, we got our work done in football. It was a tremendous week, obviously school-wise, to get caught up, make sure we're squared away and organized and planning for the future with school. We're in the middle of the semester right now, right? It's week number 8, so that's when, if you guys remember back to college, that's when those midterms and all those things start coming. So making sure that we're organized there, and then the guys got a couple days off there where they can relax. And to your point, some of them chose to get out and do some stuff like that. We got great guys in this program. It's awesome. The impact they want to have, not only in this room for our family, for our team, but in this community as well.
Your focus is obviously Saturdays, one Saturday at a time, but do you put any time and effort, maybe even last week, or even keep a private list? How are you addressing the offensive coordinator position? Think about it a little bit now. Is the timing important?
You know I'm not going to answer that question, Mike.
I mean, obviously you have to make a
There is a
decision.
bigger role that I'm responsible for. You're 100%, Mike. But my sole purpose right now is on where we're growing forward right now. And I know that's a timely matter. The thing that I will say is super excited about what our offense is doing right now, what our offensive staff is doing right now, to see the growth, to see where we're going, and we have the opportunity to keep growing, and that's the most important thing right now. Yeah, I know I have a greater role, and there's some things to be handled and things like that, but like we always talk about to our players and within our program, we focus on what we can control right now, and everything is right in front of us from our goal standpoint and who we can continue to grow and become, and that's been my main focus.
Is it important to have that position filled before December signing day?
I would say that, yeah, we're going to be squared away before then. Again, I'm not going to put a timeline or anything on that. We will be very diligent. But we're really excited, again, with what our offensive staff is doing right now and the direction we're going.
What has Caleb Biggers' play so far this year? And as you go up against an offense, an offense like Air Force, what will be important for him to, this week?
Well, they got some wide receivers on the outside that can go and are threats. So, yeah, there's going to be some one-on-one matchups outside that are going to challenge our corners. As everyone talks about triple option and forgets about the corner's role in triple option. They're going to be required to fit the run game just like everybody else. Their number's going to be in the count a lot. And then what comes with that is those isolations on the outside and being really dialed in. And Caleb's done a tremendous job this year. His growth from last year to where he's at right now is awesome to see. That's what you would want to see from a young man that joined our program and transferred here last year. And even last year we saw the growth from where he was in the beginning of the year to the middle of the year and how he finished at the end and everything he's done with that. That's what we'd want to see. And especially for a guy that came into this program from another program and was selfless, has the humility, wants to work, wants to be a part of this team as much as being a part of the family as is having his success and developing the way he has.
You guys have given up 3 special teams touchdowns this year. I mean, how much time have you guys spent on kind of cleaning up those coverage units?
We've identified a lot of things that we, within special teams in the bye week, we spent just as much time there in the special teams and looking at certain situations. Where can we get better situationally? Where can we get better schematically? And then it comes down to the personnel, no different than offense or defense. Is personnel-wise, what do we do going forward to put our guys in the best situations that we can? Thank you, guys.